We're representing James Madison University Eta Delta chapter in the Best Practices Innovation Competition. I'm Cassie Hill, and the other presenters are going to be Laura Brick and Callie Carter.
Like any other organization, Beta Alpha Psi has its own sets of challenges. We set our main focus on trying to keep our members engaged, especially when they've already accepted externships, internships, and full-time positions. To help address this challenge, we've created the Professional Development Series to help our members gain the skills that are not offered in the classroom. Skills that they can use outside of school and eventually on the job.
So we started our series last semester in September with career development. We had a resume review where we helped students improve and update their resumes. We had networking where we had tips and tricks to expand the students' network. We had interviewing etiquette and how to have a successful interview. We had develop your brand where we showed students how to develop themselves. In October, we had financial planning where we had professionals come in and talk about the scary world of managing our finances. We had psychology of investors where we had talked about how investors decide what to invest in. We had insurance, knowing what types of insurance there is and when to buy them. We talked about credit and credit scores and what decisions affect your credit. We had financial planning, what to decide when HR gives you the forms and how to go from there. Last month we had certification series where we talked about the different paths your education can take, such as the CPA process, the overview of the CPA exam, and changes happening soon to it. We talked about the CFA and an overview of the CFA and courses needed to help pass it. We had financial planning professional designations, financial planning career paths, and how to become a certified financial planner. This month we had our technology exploration series where we talked about PowerPoint tips and tricks, how to make professional PowerPoints, Word where we had tips and tricks on how to make professional Word documents for your professional career. We talked about Tableau and the introduction to visualization. And we talked about the introduction to programming languages such as Python and R.
So at the end of every series, we send out a survey that just helps us get a sense of whether the students found the topics useful and also what topics they want to see in the future, which will help us improve the plan as it goes on. For financial planning, most of the topics were very successful, where in the career development, all of the topics were wildly successful. The top 3 results for the topics that students wanted to see in the future, we had professional designations, which we did in February, negotiating salaries, which we plan to do next year, and then we also had PowerPoint tips and tricks, which we are doing this month. The certification series survey was sent out recently, so we're still analyzing those results, so they're not included in our data. So we are planning to make this a 2-year rotating cycle of topics for the students because we've noticed that BAP students are in Beta Alpha Psi for roughly 2 years, so we want to make sure the topics are useful and relevant to them and aren't being repeated. So for next September, we plan to do negotiating salaries, which was one of the top topics that students wanted to see in the future. We also had dress for success and cover letters, which were a recommended topic by some students. And then we also plan to go over professional emails and chats. For October, we plan to go through budgeting because that's a hard thing for most college students to do. We have bank accounts because most students are going to have to learn how to open up a bank account in the future. The leasing versus renting versus buying because the students are going to have to find an apartment or a house for them to stay in when they move out of college. And then also how to handle debt because most students do have student debt and not many people know how to handle and also when to acquire more debt. In February of certifications, we plan on talking about the Certified Fraud Examiner, the Certified Information Security Auditor for the CIS major, certified internal auditor, and then the certified valuation analyst for finance majors. And then in March, we have QuickBooks for accounting, Adobe, which was recommended by a student that all students should know how to use, SharePoint and Microsoft Teams, because that is a topic that a lot of companies are using these days, and then SAS for the finance majors. So we also plan to have the professional partners present on these topics so that they can be a part of this series and they can get more involved with Beta Alpha Psi. And then this is also adaptable to other chapters. For example, JMU does not do Excel because we already have a class that covers Excel, and we also have the certification issued by Microsoft. But if another school has QuickBooks, or they have a PowerPoint class, or they have a class that covers cover letters, they can remove these topics and add topics that would be useful to their students that they don't get in the classroom. On behalf of the Eta Delta chapter at JMU, thank you for allowing us to participate in this competition, and we look forward to your feedback.